it is my great honor to ask Professor Douglas to address the congregation.
Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, the academic staff, the graduates today, parents, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the offer that you've bestowed on me today and for giving me the opportunity to speak to you for a short while. Let me say immediately that I would not be standing here today were it not for the many contributions to my scientific success made by my students and my collaborators. Nor would it be possible without the sound foundation provided by my parents and my teachers at Sachs and here at UCT. I wish to acknowledge in particular my colleague Kevin Martin, also a graduate of UCT, with whom I have collaborated closely for over 30 years. First in the various labs in Oxford, and then later as co-founders of the Institute of Neuroinformatics at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology and the University of Zurich. I've been very fortunate in my academic life, but the greatest of my fortunes has been to have amusing, sometimes cynical, always creative and wise presence of friends and colleagues. It's been a remarkably brief 40 years since I was sitting in your seats, here at graduation and gazing upwards towards these venerable members of faculty in this imposing Jamison Hall, and then contemplating what the future held for me. Before that day of graduation, I had a very ambiguous relationship with this hall. As an undergraduate, the thought of the Jamison Hall evoked in me only this kind of creeping dread of sitting amongst rows of exam tables, little scratchings of 100 pens on their exam books. And that ambitious desire for success in this kind of arcane world of the mind was then thoroughly mixed with the scent, this kind of scent of jasmine that flowed in through these windows, in the warm summer breeze, and sort of beckoning persuasively towards the more physical mysteries of life. In short, throughout my undergraduate years, the Jamison Hall symbolized for me a kind of fluctuating struggle between the demands of the mind and the call of the flesh. But finally, through the rites of graduation such as this, the Jamison Hall brings another vision, transformation from our intellectual youth into the larger process of our creative life, and it also brings a perspective. Okay. We move out onto the solid steps of the Jamison and into this kind of clear Cape sunlight, and then for the first time you kind of grasp how the education and experience here at UCT elevates you magically above the routine of daily life, and from this elevated place you look out towards the mountains, challenges of the future, and you're drawn inevitably towards the hinterland of your professional life, wherever that may take you. It's been a great privilege to study here at UCT. It is assuredly the most beautiful and serene campuses that I've ever encountered. UCT gave me a very clear sense of foundation, embedded in the charismatic mountain, surrounded by the ivy-covered walls, sharpened by the continual critical and amusing discussion of my friends and students, strengthened by the endless hours in practical laboratories and the bedsides of the medical school, and nurtured, but nevertheless fully tested by my teachers. With this foundation, I've never doubted my ability to compete in the international arena, and I hope that you, as graduates today, that you too are conscious of and thankful for the privilege of your preparation here at UCT. As postgraduates, your professional quest is already underway. You've already committed yourself to the task of refining and increasing understanding. We'll hear later today in the ceremony, and you'll see in the back of the book, the advances that you're already making towards solutions of crucial problems such as AIDS, TB, poverty, and human rights. These are the first fruits of what we expect will be your many contributions to civilization. You are now an integral part of an amazing universal process whereby mankind has been able to increase the accuracy of knowledge from the first fashioning of stone axes to the description of our own genome. I became part of this process of discovery nearly 50 years ago in a small laboratory in the physiology department of the UCT Medical School, where a few teachers and a handful of students became fascinated by questions of neuroscience. At that time, there was very little tradition of neuroscience at UCT and barely any resource available for it. We scavenged unused equipment from dusty corners, and what we could not find or afford, we built ourselves in the workshops of the physiology department under the bemused guidance of the technicians. About that time, the first laboratory-sized electronic computers were becoming available, and with great effort, we persuaded the medical faculty to buy one on condition that we students would install and maintain it. The revolutionary Data General Eclipse mini-computer sporting an amazing 64 kilobytes of RAM was installed in a small disused shed where the shining Wolfson building now stands. That fledgling neuroscience lab, with its avant-garde interest in computers, automated data collection, and neural computation, gave rise in a few short years to a half a dozen essentially self-taught neuroscientists whose abilities and innovative methods took them quickly to positions at Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Caltech, Maryland, Illinois, the Weizmann, Max Planck, and the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. They have all become international leaders in their field. And for example, one of the largest neuroscience projects of all time, Europe's €1 billion Human Brain Project, is now led by a student from that little lab at medical school with its charming view of the wildebeest trotting through the tall grass on the slopes of Devil's Peak. So, even though we may have a relative lack of resource, the training and exploratory spirit of UCT is able to make a world-class impact on science and society. And indeed, I believe that we gain advantage through being somehow leaner and hungrier than our colleagues at more well-endowed institutions. My personal scientific quest has been twofold. Firstly, in neuroscience, to understand the nature of computation in the neuronal circuits of the neocortex, that region of the brain that is crucially involved in intelligent behavior. And secondly, through neuromorphic engineering, to apply that knowledge to the development of novel electronic technologies for brain-like computation. During my career, I've had the privilege and pleasure to work at the world's foremost neuroscience laboratories and to collaborate with many of the smartest neuroscientists on the planet. Together with them, I've made many important contributions to neuroscience and neuromorphic engineering that I could only possibly have dreamed of when I sat here. The orator has generously outlined some of my work. Thank you very much. However, this is very important, I think. However, despite these satisfying advances, my personal quest remains unfinished. I have not yet solved the central scientific questions that have driven me all my life. What is the nature of neural computation? What so reliably organizes our complex physical body? And how is that derived from the information in a single cell? How does that process then continue to structure the connection between neurons and build a model of the world? How is that knowledge of evolution combined with the experience of individuals so that you may interact effectively with the world? And how are the connections in your brains changing even now as you listen to me? For if they did not do so, you would have no recall of today. I and my colleagues continue to grapple with these problems and the implications for science and technology. It's important for young postgraduates to recognize that this essential lack of closure in our understanding is the very nature of the scientific quest, both in mythology of the quest, and also in reality. We strive, we search, we speculate, we suffer various degrees of defeat, We celebrate various degrees of success, but we are certainly not guaranteed to fully solve our life question. Instead, it's the delight in the unfolding discovery that drives us ever onward. As in many endeavors, the journey of discovery is far more satisfying than its end, and it's our collective journey rather than the individual end that propels the growth of human knowledge. And so it's together that we need to tend the lamp of knowledge that is symbolized in chief on UCT's coat of arms. But we should understand that that lamp is fragile. It's protected by a castle and anchored in an ocean. Coat of arms reminds us that civilization is not guaranteed to advance in knowledge and responsibility. The lamp must be guarded vigilantly because knowledge and its application are not always for the good of mankind. For example, over 2,000 years ago, the Great Museum of Alexandria was dramatically successful, gathering together the great scholars of the Mediterranean and the Middle Eastern world. They made substantial progress in astronomy, physics, mathematics, geography, medicine, law, and literature. And they safeguarded the record of their progress by assembling that information in their famous library. But the increase of knowledge and sophistication of Alexandria attracted to itself conflicting ideologies and religions which struggled for supremacy at the cost of scholarship and respect for truth. Bigotry, combined with Roman militarism, crushed the scholarship of Alexandria and extinguished the lamp of knowledge, and drove civilization into 1,000 years of darkness. Now again, we live in an age of dramatic growth of knowledge and spectacular technology progress. And again, ideologies, religions, and militarism grow. The responsibility rests with all of us to ensure that in these exciting but unstable times, we tread vigilantly and with integrity to ensure that the lamp of knowledge is not again extinguished. UCT has ensured that you are prepared to do well in this task. Now it remains for you to do good. I thank you for your attention and good luck to all of you. Thank you.